first presenter is by accident myself, so I will take my word instantly and I will tell you something about the simulation game that we play during the project, which is called Spationomy. That's why we have this section as well. And let's go through it. I will be speaking about the experiences that we had during the first run of the project first, and second I will explain or show you what we are about to do in the follow-up project. So my presentation is called Towards Simulation Gaming in Spatial Economy, and why we are discussing game-based learning in the higher education, because it's not a new thing that the game-based learning is, let's say, a better way to involve participants, involve students, involve people in order to adopt new skills, new knowledge, new competencies. And games themselves have a built-in learning principles that allow players to explore learning situations from different perspectives, according to G 2003, which then consequently encourage interest and empathy of learners exploring that different perspectives. And what we are doing in the project is that we are trying to put together two different or distinct fields, which is geoinformatics or geography as you wish, and economy or business informatics. These two fields might be a bit different from each other. Yes, they are, but we are trying to put people with these specializations together through the simulation games or through the gaming or serious learning as you wish. So game as a rule-based framework also restricts action opportunities for players, which allows them to achieve a common goal by collaboration, by interdisciplinary collaboration, which is kind of a main motive why we are doing this kind of game-based learning. Simulation games are not new at all. You can see in the table that there were kind of a simulation games 70 years ago available, and one of the most famous one and one of the oldest one, by the way, is the Bernstein's simulation game by Mary Bernstein. It was early 30s in the last century, and thanks to the IT, thanks to the ICT and other new technologies and internet web-based services, there are many more thousands of possible games that could be utilized to play economic/geographical game. So it's not new, but it's still valid in order to achieve a goal, which is the interdisciplinary, international, and more playful learning. Spationomy project was funded in 2016 firstly, and the main goal of that project, on which 4 universities collaborated, the main goal was just to bring those people from different disciplines together so they can build a new knowledge, build new skills based on different activities that we had in the project. We had physical mobilities, we have also the virtual mobility in the project, but as a part of the second virtual mobility in the summer school, we also played a simulation game. This was surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, the, let's say, most appreciated moment of the whole learning process that we had in the project. So that's why we built a new project upon or on that simulation game. But I will tell you something more about the simulation game that we played. We as a project leaders and teachers, we tried to involve students into international collaboration and also into the interdisciplinary collaboration by playing a game that we as a teachers kind of a trial error developed. So we are not specialists on gaming or game design, but we wanted the students to be involved through the game. So we kind of developed a game. We modeled real-world situations. We tried to put real data into the action so students can work with actually something which is useful for them or which is real in to some extent. So we created a simulation game which was based on a series of versatile rounds, so they could be put into the action whenever in the game. But there was a setup or startup round, and the main idea was that students inherited certain amount of money from their grandmother, and in her last will, she told them that they needed to build or invest the money into the bicycle factory. So they started with some budget, and they needed to invest that money. And since we are trying to connect geography or spatial intelligence together with economy, they were in the teams which were mixed. So there were 2 students with a geographical background and 2 students with economic background. And also the rounds or the individual steps in the game were kind of mixed. So they needed to think about the position of their factory, about the bonuses they could get from the proximity to the market, for instance. But the other part was also about calculating some economic indicators such as revenue and profit and this kind of economic stuff. So there was a startup round. You can see on the picture it was based in our hometown in Olomouc. Students had available a map showing them prices of individual parcels in Olomouc. They also have some bonus points in that map. So they needed to think geographically, where is the best location to place our factory? How much do we pay for it, actually? How many employees we will have? And so on. So the economic part was about the calculation of the wages for employees also, and the prices for their products, which were bikes. So they needed to combine the spatial information together with the economic information. So that was the starting point. And then we, as a game masters, came with the different game rounds. So suddenly we call that there are floods in Olomouc. So they needed to evacuate the factory. They needed to find the optimal path to avoid the flooded zones. And the economic part was also about to calculate the cost of the transportation of their employees and so on and so on. So we came with different rounds that students played on spot. And after each round, we evaluated their results, scored them, and tell them what are their rankings. So it was kind of a simulation game that was not really automatic, because we as a game masters, we had a control of all the game things that students did, actually. We were wondering, was it a good idea to play a game or not? Based on their evaluation, or the evaluation from the students, we found out that it was kind of a highlight of the whole Spationomy project. So that's why we decided to move on and submit a proposal for a new project, for a follow-up project, Spationomy 2.0. That's why there is a simulation game 2.0, and the core of the project, of the follow-up project, is just only the simulation game. So we wanted to, let's say, enhance or augment the simulation game concept into something more which is playable, which is more, let's say, put into the frames of game research or game design studies. And that's why we are super lucky that we have in the next project, or in ongoing project, we have the experts from Utrecht University, these 3 guys, very cool guys, which are helping us to frame it, because we, former teachers in the former project, we are not experts on how to create a game. Is it a fair game, or is the scoring equal for all teams? Should we play a board game instead of playing the game on computers? So that's why we invited these these people, and they, I think, significantly helped us to improve the whole concept of the simulation game. So we are now developing, let's say, a new prototype, or not a prototype, the prototype was the first one, a new, ready-to-go simulation game that could be played elsewhere by anyone who is interested. We are also lucky that we can involve more students into the project. We can involve students not only in their role that they will be playing the game, but they also will be part of the game creation. So they will be also the active, let's say, features in creation of the game. Because as you see on the schedule, there will be, again, summer school where we will be playing a game, and students will create their own playgrounds. So it allows us to, let's say, refresh our old minds, because students often think out of the box more effectively than we do, actually. So we kind of rely on them that they will come up with something which is surprising, which is good, which we can use for a future. And at the end of the whole one cycle of the project, we playtest the game on a real event which is organized in Utrecht, in Netherlands, and that summer school they organize is for general, let's say, public that are kind of keen in playing games in general. So we have a one day for our Spationomy simulation game to be played by a real people, by the way, who have no experiences with the economy or geoinformatics or geography. So that will be a really, really interesting thing to get a feedback from them. So why we are doing that? Because we want to create compact plug-and-play package with all the necessary materials, allowing the game to be played, I mean, worldwide by anyone. And the plug-and-play package will be also in a form that it could be modified or customized by anyone. If the university teacher in Thailand would like to be more focused on business issues, he could do it with the use of our plug-and-play package of the simulation game. So that's the idea, to derive the compact thing that could be delivered freely in an open source format to everyone based on our experiences in the Spationomy project, or from the Spationomy project. Students, as I told you, will be kind of agents in our project, so they could also contribute to individual gaming grounds or individual concept of the simulation game. And that's why we gave them kind of a chance to come up with their ideas by creating a project that has the umbrella topic of local perspectives of global climate change. So this is kind of a universal topic that is common for all of the countries. So we wanted to find a topic that will be jointly solvable, let's say, by anyone. So these are the specific topics that students actually in the year zero, because the first year was cancelled because of COVID. So these were all the topics that students came with, and some of them finished that projects, and I will show you one of the results. So one of the project was a car-free city. So they created a project with some idea, and during that summer school they were supposed to create a game from that project. So that's the idea. So students created a pool of projects or ideas, and then we together turned that ideas into the gaming environment. Another project that was finished was using virtual reality, and it was simulating floods, and also there were a main goal of that game to orient the user, him or herself, in the 3D virtual environment. So in order to find a toolbox that will fix the floods and so on. So that was kind of a funny idea, but still it was gamification of the learning process. So that these are two, let's say, highlight projects that we had in the first, let's say, 0 year of the whole project. At the moment, me and my master student, we are preparing kind of a simulation game portal where there will be all of the materials, all of the data that we use, all of the software that we use, which is open source mostly, together with some kind of a semi-automatic web-based, let's say, evaluation of the results. Because in the first project, it was only or always us teachers who needed to recalculate students' outputs in order to find out if they made a mistake or not. So we are now creating kind of a semi-automatic evaluation system, or the whole portal, where also students or future participants could upload their data, and it will be automatically, let's say, evaluated by the let's say, black box behind. So this is what we are going to do in the next few years. I mean, in the next 1 or 2 years. And yeah, the main goal is to play a game which will be based on a real-world scientific data. So we are trying to put a gaming features into something which is real, into some quantitative methods that we both in economics and in geoinformatics use. So that's the main output. If you want to check out our website, here you can see the link. And yeah, that's all from me. Please follow us on the website, and if you have any questions, just contact me whenever you wish.